This is going to be the first of two videos around type and fonts in CSS. In this one, we're going to cover how to make letters on our page bold or italicized, underlined, change the size of it, and also change how it's aligned. So by default, it's aligned to the left, but we may want to align it to the right or align it center, and we'll learn how to do that as well. So let's take a look at our web page here. We've already changed the color of H1. So let's affect the P element for this one. So let's create a new block for P. Now, in order to make this text bold, we're going to type in font weight. And you can see here we can put in numbers, but we can also put in a series of words. We can put in normal, which is what it starts at. We can put in light, lighter, bold, or bolder. So let's make this font weight bold. Go back and refresh. And you'll notice both lines here changed. And this is really important because in our HTML, we have two paragraph tags. And what we've now done is we have affected every paragraph element on our page. So that's how we make the font weight bold. You'll also notice, for example, that H1 and the H2 are automatically bold. So if we want, we can make the H2 font weight normal. And go back and refresh that, and that is now no longer bold. So we use font weight in order to change how bold a font is. Now, the next thing we're going to do is try and italicize our elements. So that's where they kind of look slightly skewed to the right or left. And the way we do this is by typing in font style. And you can again see here there are some options, and we can choose italic. When we choose italic and refresh, you see they've now gone over to the side, and we can combine these as we have. So we've made it bold and italicized. So we use font style for that. And if we have an element that for whatever reason is italicized and we want to change it back, we can change it to font style normal, but we'll leave it on italic for now. Now, the next thing we're going to do is talk about underlining our text. And we can see down here that the A tag automatically is underlined. So we'll learn how to take that off in a moment, but first let's add some underlining. Let's add some underlining to this H2. And we do this by going text decoration. And we can make the text decoration underline. And here it's now underlined. So that's how we add an underline. And on the A tag, we can say text decoration none. And if we refresh, you'll see that's now disappeared. So that's how we make things underlined. So we're moving through this at quite a pace, but we use font weight to make things bold, we use font style to make things italic, and we use text decoration to add or remove underlines. Now, the next thing I said we'd talk about is changing the alignment of text. So let's do this on the paragraph tags. So this is actually fairly straightforward. We type in text align, and here are all of the options that we have. The common ones are left, which is the default, right, or center, or justify, where it makes the edges the same, and you often see that in printed newspapers. But let's make this right for a moment just to see how that looks. And you'll notice I'm always putting in these semicolons almost as a habit, and that's one that you should try and develop as well. Let's refresh, and that's now aligned over to the right like so. Or maybe we want to change that to be text align center, and there we go. Let's say we want to affect and make bold not just the paragraph, but also the H2. Let's delete this line. Let's create a new block, and let's affect the H2 and the paragraph, and we do that by using the comma like so. We'll talk more about this later, but here we can say text align center, save, and go over, and now they're all centered like so. So that's how we make things bold. It's how we make things italicized. It's how we make things underlined. It's how we change the alignment. Finally, let's talk about font size. And you'll notice as I'm talking, I'm sometimes using the word font, I'm sometimes using the word text, and I'm almost doing that in habit because I know what these CSS properties are, and annoyingly, sometimes they're text and sometimes they're font. But if we want to change the size, let's change the size of the paragraph. we can go font size. Now there are many types of units that we can use here. We can use very traditional print units like centimeters or inches if we'd prefer. We can use pixels, which is what we're used to using when we work with screens. So I think by default it's 16 pixels. So let's see what happens if we make it 32 pixels and refresh. There you go. You'll notice they've doubled in size. Incidentally to the same as the H1 here, because the H1 is double the size of a paragraph. So we can use pixels, we can use percentages, we can use loads of different kinds of units. We'll talk about some more later on, but just know, like colours, there are multiple units in which we can use.